It took 9 hours of balloting and busy and sometimes contentious Duluth Convention Hall, but Democrats, they finally endorsed their candidate for governor.
Yeah, it was a long night. Late last night, Speaker of the House Margaret Anderson Kelliher was named the nominee. She beat out Minneapolis Mayor R.T. Rybak thanks to a big boost from a friend from the Northland.
The dynamic of the race changed dramatically close to 9 o'clock Saturday night. That's when Tom Rukavina, the fiery Iron Ranger who riled up the crowd earlier in the day.
Come on, join me. You know you want to do it. Vote for me today. We'll fix this state. We'll fight the fight.
Decided to pull out of the race and throw his support behind Margaret Anderson Kelliher. Within moments, the Kelliher campaign quickly handed out pre-produced letters to Rukavina delegates asking them to come on board. It was then Kelliher began pulling away from Minneapolis Mayor R.T. Rybak, who had been a close second all night. But the mayor kept working delegates, despite one-time candidate John Marty following Rukavina's lead and backing Kelliher. With results from the 6th ballot on the way and Rybak's window having closed, he ended his campaign just after 11 Saturday night.
Hello, Democrats. It is time for the greatest party in the history of Minnesota to come together and to support Margaret Anderson Kelliher for governor.
Kelliher then took the stage victorious, one step closer to becoming Minnesota's first female governor and the first DFL governor in 24 years.
We are going to together build a strong campaign across this state as we go on to victory in August and victory in November.
If you're happy with the proposals from the legislature about raising taxes, you're going to like Margaret Anderson Kelliher's candidacy, and I think she's going to have a very tough time with the Minnesota voter.
The race among Democrats is far from over. Anderson Kelliher will meet Mark Dayton, Matt Intenza, and Susan Gertner in a party primary on August 10th. Republicans choose their nominee, either Marty Seifert or Tom Emmer, next Friday at their state convention in Minneapolis. Now, to talk much more about the governor's race, we're joined now by Luke Hellier from Minnesota Democrats Exposed, a Republican website, and Matt Martin, MN Publius, a Democratic website. Matt, I'm going to start with you. Let's talk about this convention. We have a nominee who's been endorsed, but there are 3 others, and this is going to be a lot of money spent, and it could be some internal fighting among the party. Are you concerned for some dissension among the ranks of Democrats?
Well, you know, it is interesting, but I'm completely comfortable with this situation. I'll tell you why. Because we have 3 months now where our candidates get to go around the state, get to introduce them to everybody, and the spotlight's going to be on us. Because the Republican Party is a much more top-down party. They'll have their candidate picked. They'll have them ready to go. And, you know, we'll have some time to discuss the issues with the people in Minnesota. And, you know, come August, we'll have 3 months to run head-to-head, toe-to-toe with the Republican candidate.
Okay, Luke, obviously laughing over here when you heard about that comment from Matt. Now, you guys have your convention on Friday. Right. It's either going to be Tom Emmer or it's going to be Marty Seifert. First off, I'm going to ask you point blank. Do you have a preference? Do you think one of these candidates is going to have a better chance of winning in November?
You know, personally, I don't have a preference. I've tried to remain neutral throughout the race. I do think it'll probably take about 6 or 7 ballots, but it'll go probably late into the night.
What is your thought about what Matt said about the idea that there may be some internal fighting, but it's going to be a lot of press coverage and there's going to be a lot of attention on the Democrats? Any concern that once the Republican nominee is endorsed, that, you know, not having anybody to challenge will put that person out of the spotlight?
Right, and I think there's a clear difference. You know, we're going to be a united party come next weekend, and we're going to be out there talking to voters every day while their party squabbles over who's more liberal and who can run further to the left to their primary voter. August primary is going to be different for them, so they're going to have to try and get out their people, and we're going to be talking to voters about pro-growth policies.
What is really going to define this election is, and I'll give you guys each a chance. I mean, there's so much talk that Republicans do have a lot of headwind going into November, but also some talk, maybe some concern that maybe the sort of Tea Party element of the Republican Party could alienate some folks in the center. Are you as a Republican concerned about that? And then I want to hear what you have to think, Matt.
I don't think I'm concerned at all. You know, most Tea Party folks really stand by issues that are in the Republican Party. Right. We're for lower taxes, for fiscal restraint. We're sportsmen. We're mostly pro-life. Right. And so they naturally fit in our party. But I think we're going to be able to talk about our issues to, you know, moderates in the middle come November.
I actually think that the Tea Party's had a pretty big effect on the Republican Party here locally. I mean, if you followed what's happening.
To your advantage?
To our advantage. I think that it's alienated the centrist voter to our advantage from the Republican Party, because what's happened is, you've seen this in the endorsement process. I mean, come August, we're going to be running against either the far right in Marty Seifert or the extreme right in Tom Emmer. I mean, these are not two centrist candidates. I mean, and
Is that going to be a problem?
Well, I don't think so. I think people tell the difference between a guy like Marty and Tom, who you can sit down and have a beer with, and somebody like Margaret or Mark, who are so far to the left that you could never, sit down and have any type of discussion with. And I think there'll be a clear difference there.
Okay, guys, it was great speaking with you both. We have a couple of months of some really fascinating politics, and it's only getting in gear. And thank you very much for joining us, and a lot of fun stuff coming up. We appreciate it. Marty, we're going to send it back to you at the desk.
All right, thanks.